going on, everybody? So welcome to essentially my first real talk video. So I just basically wanted to talk to you guys about, like, what to do if magic essentially goes wrong, because sometimes it happens, stuff goes wrong. I remember this one time when I was performing the ambitious card routine, where I was doing what's called the card to mouth, which for reasons, I actually changed the card to mouth to card to pocket, where it ends up in your back pocket. But there was a time where I would do card to mouth, where I would put it up in my mouth and have them snap their fingers. It was the wrong card. It ends up in your mouth. But there was a time where I did what I thought was their card in my mouth. Snapped the fingers, and it turned out their card was on top, not in my mouth. So that is, a good example of what to do when magic goes wrong. Basically, you don't want to call it out unless the spectator or somebody else, calls it out. Like if they say something, then you can admit to, yeah, okay, that messed up. But then you also just kind of keep moving on. Either you say, okay, yeah, that trick went wrong, but let me show you something else, or you can just keep pushing through the card trick until they're floored because you ended up doing something that they didn't expect, despite messing up. And that's exactly what I did when I put the wrong card in my mouth. They snapped their fingers and it was on top of here. Instead of freaking out or saying, oh, that I messed up, what I did was I took the card that was in my mouth out of my mouth, put it back in the middle of the deck, and then I went to do it again, where you buckle down, and you're supposed to only have one card. Well, what happened was kind of like right here, I ended up buckling two cards, so that when I put what I thought was a random card in the middle with their card on top, when I went to put the card in my mouth, their card was still on top of the deck. So what I did after that happened was I went and buckled the bottom card, and basically made sure that I had just one card. Turned it back over, put it in the middle, or had them push it in the middle, I should say. So like I put it in the middle here. They snapped their fingers. I then went and put their proper card in the middle, so that when they snapped their fingers, it actually worked, and it ended up in my mouth. And that's just again an example of what to do if something goes horribly wrong. It only happened to me once, where I accidentally buckled two cards instead of just one. It hasn't happened to me since then, but again, magic can sometimes get messed up to where you think you put something, but it was actually there. Or sometimes you might even, like if you're controlling a card to the top or whatever, you might somehow lose the break, or you might somehow mess up and again put a card on top of that card. So no matter what happens, not only are you allowed to mess up, but you also want to just kind of like play it off, like kind of maybe make a joke about it, or just kind of like shrug it off and, like I said, push forward, move on. Like one cool thing with like David Blaine is somebody calls him out and they're like hey, I saw what you did there, he'd be like, yeah, but watch this, and then he goes and does, the trick, and that's what you gotta do sometimes as a magician is, like, sometimes you mess up, you do mess up, but, it's just all about moving forward, moving on, and, just coming up with an excuse for if the trick does go wrong, try to turn it into something else, or, like I said, just keep moving forward, and eventually, you can finish the trick and still wow people. Yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, as I said before, look forward to more content coming out. I do have a whole list of videos that I want to put up on the channel. I'll see you guys next time, and always live what you learn.